Gold Souk Dubai. Gold is made here. We are now in Siroya factory, where the gold bar is processed into jewelry. Siroya factory does wholesale, retail and sends to Gold Souk and other countries. Let's explore the factory and learn about how a gold bar is made into jewelry and lots of interesting facts which will help us make a perfect decision to buy a gold. Value we need to give to the Karyagar. The jewelry makers. CEO of Siroya, Mr. Rohan Siroya, will show the factory in detail.
So, welcome ma'am to our factory, and let me walk you through the entire process from the beginning to the end, how the entire journey happens. Down, but it begins there. So actually designing
Begins the
happens,
design, then 3D
then it
printing,
goes to 3D printing, and then the 3D
Then-
printing comes to this room,
and then we will make the wax tree, which we saw downstairs.
which we saw downstairs, the
So
wax
this is
tree
how they make the
process.
wax tree.
This is before the process you just saw.
So once we have the computer model and we make the 3D printing, we get a wax mold from the 3D printer. Now we want to replicate the design so that we can make many of it in one shot. So what happens is, here you will see we have rubber molds like this. Inside each mold, you put the wax piece from the 3D printing and you create a negative. Then you remove it, so you now have a plastic die. This machine basically injects liquid wax into the plastic die over and over again. So the same design, you can get 10, 20, 100 pieces, however many you need. Once you have everything done, on the left here, you'll see they make the tree. So they do this by hand. On the central stem, they individually arrange each petal of the tree, and
This is all done by hand.
this is all done by hand, and the angle has to be perfect. So when you put it in the plaster and then you heat it, it'll all melt out and create one connected piece, which the gold will then fill. And then you get a gold tree. So this is quite a skilled process because they need to know what angle will work for each piece so that it doesn't interfere with each other. And then eventually complete a tree here. Eventually you can see it starts to build more and more and more, and you get the full tree. And then this will go into the casting process by being put in the plaster of Paris mold.
If you see around you, over here, these are all individual designs. They don't look like it, but when you open it, you'll see the imprint. So it's like a fingerprint. Each and every one of these. These are in production right now.
And they're all stored with serial numbers. So if in 5 years you ever want to make the same design again, you can find the serial number, find the piece, and make the wax piece for it.
This is something unique we do because many times customers have bought something that has sentimental value and something that you have purchased maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and now that design cannot be found because it had one specific, shift to it. That design is stored. So these are all additional things that we do because this is feedback from customers where they said we had a design 8 years ago. We want that same design exactly that way in the same gram range. How can you do it? There's no computer system to do it. This is the only way. You'll see them across. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands of designs that are stored in, like memories. That is the same thing. Come.
Melting का दिखाते हैं, melting हो रही है अभी. Then we'll come back up. Good morning. Good morning. So we go back to that.
We'll go back to melting. So you can shoot what he's going to melt. Just come closer to the screen. ये ऐसे दिखा दो इनको पहले कि क्या मेल्ट होने वाला है. ये मेल्टिंग के पहले है, बिफोर मेल्टिंग.
So this is all the parts from the tree which we didn't use before. So we
The
used
stem of the tree, because you used everything else, all the branches you used as a design. The stem is left. So that is melted again into the process.
You can see the temperature going up. This will hit 1107 degrees.
Come here. Now you will see, you will see it going red as the temperature is getting hot, and you see the gold starting to melt as it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And gold will melt, I think, at about 800? 1100. Entirely melt.
So there's three broad paths to how you make jewelry. There is the tree, those delicate pieces. There is wire, which you use for chains, and then there is flat bands, which are the base for bangles and stuff. So what you will see now is the process for the flat band, for the base of the bangle.
Almost at 300 degrees Celsius now. A bit hotter than Dubai summer.
And you can start to see it kind of smoking. So that is any impurities in that, any plaster that was stuck, anything
Any
else,
dust
was burning off.
get burnt away.
Yeah.
Because gold has a higher melting point than almost anything else. So gold will melt at about 1000 to 1100 degrees Celsius. It will go to that temperature almost. Everything else will melt away and burn away before that.
And start to see it glowing inside.
Now we're at 400 degrees Celsius. You see the gold is now becoming molten slowly. Now 500 degrees Celsius. You can come stand here if you like. It's a little bit hot. But the gold is still intact. It's still not melted. You can see it from here also. The bar is still in the same shape. So it's still not melting. But it's beginning to melt.
Different alloys of gold have different melting temperatures. So the temperature you melt at for 22 versus 21 versus 24 will be different. So anytime you make jewelry in a different carat, you have to adjust the settings so that you heat it at the right temperature.
So they add soda to this process to enhance its liquefaction. Because now we're almost at 750 degrees Celsius. We're coming to a point where the gold will start to melt. Now you'll see, if you take a look, the gold has become molten entirely. You see almost fire on top of it. So this is perhaps the highest temperature that most industrial processes reach. We have a little machine, but it's incredibly powerful. And we hit 800 degrees Celsius now. It's starting to get hot over here.
You want to move away.
Yeah, you might want to move away.
He'll mix it first to make sure it's fully molten.
Yeah.
And then
Consistency in the, there's no solid parts at all. This is about 900 degrees Celsius now. At this point, the gold is almost molten. We will move the process from molten to bar again. Now he will switch off the furnace and he will transfer the molten gold, as you can see, red hot, into a bar to give it shape.
so what you're seeing is liquid gold. It will take on the form of any mold it's put into, and here we want a bar so that we can then work with it and make it into a flat wire for the jewelry. Very quickly, once it's removed from the heat, the gold becomes solid, and then you are going to put it into water to make sure that it's no longer hot.
So you'll see how quickly the gold will start cooling down.
They're going to move it into the water.
Now he'll move the, still very hot, almost 500 degrees Celsius on that bar. You can see it sizzle. And it begins to lose temperature really quickly.
And now it's cool enough to hold with your hand.
It's still warm.
It's warm, but it won't hurt you. You can hold it.
So an interesting fact about purity is only once we melt gold actually do we know what the purity level is. So this entire process has to go through. What you're seeing in your hand is pure gold. This goes into a refinery, gets tested for purity. So, you know, in India now they've been talking about hallmarking and things like that. In UAE is very strict about purity. So government tests this gold all the time. And in Dubai, that's why we have an assurance of purity. But otherwise, there are many machines in the market that try and say, okay, you can test the purity of jewelry, but you really can't. The only way to do it is this. And for our jewelry, every single time we manufacture, it goes through this process. So we know what we're selling is 100% of the purity test. If it's 22 carats, always 22 carat. It's not 21.6, not 21.8. That's the difference.
The bar, we need a very flat, thin sheet to form the base of our jewelry. So what they do is they have a series of these rollers, and they start at the widest one and they move it through many times. Then they move it to a slightly narrower until you get a very thin, flexible sheet of gold.
This is like kind of, you can equate it to how ganne ka juice is made.
Yeah, that's made.
You have to be very careful of your hands on both sides. These are all expert craftsmen because they do this day in, day out. But if your hand gets anywhere closer, it's finished. Amount of pressure is tremendous.
So this one bar is now maybe 1 foot. It will go to 15 meters when it's at 1 millimeter thickness. That same amount of metal.
You see it's getting bent.
Every time he turns it, it becomes a little bit smaller. So it squeezes little by little. There are two types of machines here. If you see, this one has grooves and this one is flat. So we use this to make wires for chains, etc. So it will go narrow, and you look, they all have different thicknesses. You see, patla hota ja raha hai. So that is for wires. This is for the flat band on a bangle. So we'll show you that. And then even in the bangle, there are two types. This is solid, then there is carbide. We start in solid to make it thin. The last few we do in carbide, which makes it shiny. So then you get a very high reflective metal flat band, which will go on your bangle. So you can see over here. And you keep going through this process. You'll keep doing this process again and again until it's 1 millimeter thick. It's hot. The pressure makes it hot.
This is all handmade department now, you'll see.
In the 3D printing process, there are two types. One is the tree, which we saw, which is lots of small pieces. This is an entire piece in one 3D print. So once the 3D print comes out, they clean it, they remove any of the extra bits and pieces, and then this gets put into casting directly. So the finished product comes as one piece, not as part of a tree. And so you can see there's multiple different designs. You can hold it, it's very delicate. If you want to come see, you can see all the jali work, everything is done.
It's made entirely of wax.
So this allows you to get incredibly fine finishing. This is the piece for a bangle.
This process itself takes about 2 to 3 days per design. But when you talk about getting the best level of finishing, you have to go through this process.
And when it comes out of the 3D printer, it has all of these things. So here they do the finishing, they cut it off, they polish it, they make it smooth, so it looks like this. So this is the feel for the finished bangle. No rough edges. Yeah. So that is direct casting here. If you move down, there's multiple projects happening simultaneously in the factory. Here they are assembling a set. So you can see they have the mold over there, and then they layer each piece and they individually assemble it piece by piece to get the design they want. So multiple different designs are being made at any one point of time. The wire, this is the wire that they were making. Once the wire is ready, they will take it, they will measure it, they will cut it accordingly.
You'll see the system of master karigar and apprentice over here. That one master karigar has been training for 20-25 years, and then there'll be younger karigar training under him, because this is a art that is passed on generations.
And it's completely by eye.
Yes.
And it's completely by eye, so it's all judgment, making sure the piece is the exact right length. If you make it too small, it won't fit. So it has to be the perfect size. Then if we continue down, you can see more and more design. See, this one is almost complete. So this is what it looks like once the entire thing is finished. And I think finished hai iska? Ye design ke finish hai? So this is how they assemble it. This is an example of a finished piece. So you see the flexibility, because it's handmade and hand assembled, it folds beautifully. So it'll hold to any shape of your neck. This is 21 karat gold. So they're all working on different designs in the same kind of set. Even here, they're working on the same. Here, you see the other side. So this is using the pieces from the wax tree. So those pieces from the tree were cut, individual pieces, and then they use solder. So what is solder? Solder is also gold. It is the same purity of gold, but they use a different metal in the alloy. So it has a slightly lower melting temperature. So when you heat the solder, it will melt before the main gold piece, and it will fuse it together. So then you can join all the different pieces from the tree to make the overall design. You can see here a lot of delicate work. This is directly from the tree. So you see the jali design. It has been cut, it has been polished and cleaned to get the rough edges off, and then it is joined together using solder to make the designs. So all of these individual links are hand soldered this way to create the entire design. And see here they're working on multiple different designs. Here they're making a chain out of it. So once that piece is made, then you attach the chain to it and you get the entire necklace. And over here you can see whatever the order is, they have the designs and then they assemble it piece by piece to match the order.
The finished pieces. So chatka baki hai.
So there's one final step left, but here you see all of these necklaces have Meena work. Meena is enamel.
Oh, enamel.
Hand
Yes.
painted Meena.
Hand painted. We'll show you the Meena department. This is all done by hand. All of our karigars from Meena come from Calcutta, because this is originally Calcutta.
So when we say original Calcutta, the work is from a Calcutta craftsman.
So I'll show you one more step here of the hand soldering, right? Some designs are very, very delicate and they require machine soldering. So this is a laser. Here, when he's looking inside, he sees a cross. Wherever the cross is, exactly where the laser hits, and it melts it and joins it together. You can see, if you look through here, and if you look at his hands, you'd see a sharp, bright spark. That is the laser, if you want to get that angle.
This is at a precision of almost 30x microscope, 30 times the normal sight.
And you can see the types of designs they work on with this technique are very, very delicate. Lots and lots of individual pieces, which all have to be assembled together. Each of these balls is separate. All of these are individual pieces. And then the laser soldering is used to put them all into the same design. And they have to understand how to combine all of these just using one picture. So you have to know exactly which piece has to match where and build it from the ground. So even when we use machines, there's a huge element of human judgment and training. None of this is automated. So this is where our design team sits. Designers who work with us full time. I'll show you one example of a project.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Almost any design nowadays,
That's all right.
we have a sketch, but then it's
Good.
converted into a computer diagram. So this is a 3D computer rendering, and it's extremely detailed. If you zoom in, you will see is magnified by 100. This is the top of a ring design. Everything can be adjusted. So any modification, any customization, if a customer wants to make, we can do this. We can show them the 3D design, make sure they're happy with it before we make the design. So that way you're confident what you get is exactly what you wanted. We can also use this to estimate almost exactly how much the weight of a product will be. If it's diamond jewelry, how many cents or carats of diamond it will require. It's a very powerful tool. And then using this, once the file is ready, we take it to the 3D printer. And that's where you get the wax piece to match. So every month we come up with our own unique designs based off our design team, but also we do custom orders. We take inspiration from the trends of the season, new designs coming out, different themes, etc. And similar to what we had with the wax tree room, all of these designs we store. So if in the future we ever want to remake something, we can get a new 3D print made, we can have the reference image.
Everything we do is hand set. So nothing is left to any kind of automation, because this is the finest attention to detail that you would see. See, they're all setting individual diamonds by hand, all handmade. These are bracelets that are being set with individual diamond stones. When you do a process this way, where each and every stone is in sequence one after the other, you can ensure that your diamond color and clarity matches. Because you could have two diamonds that are next to each other that don't match exactly. But when you do it sequentially, one by one, this happens. Second, they use a drill. So that hand drill, it shows that the prong holds the diamond correctly. Otherwise, the diamond can fall out. So this process ensures that for us, that we have the entire thing in one pattern and the strength of the diamond pieces. This process is extremely labor intensive and takes a lot of time. And many times, if we find that two diamonds are not matching, that's the QC department. It will be sent back here. They will remove that diamond and put the matching diamond. So this takes a huge amount of time and a lot of focus. Because if you try to do it at lower cost, the product will be cheaper, but the quality will not come. So this process makes sure that the diamond jewelry is perfect, but the cost is higher.
This is more of the same process. So you see here, it's come from the tree, and then it's been cut, soldered, and now these are the final soldered pieces. So now they'll take this into that diamond setting to do the diamond setting. So every step follows the other. It's like a whole continuous process.
New one, I do.
This is the same soldering that you were seeing. Here you have a screen so you can see. The small flashes is the laser. So here he's double checking to make sure all of the individual links have been properly soldered. If he sees any that are missing, he will make sure that they're done. Extremely precise. So where the two red lines on the screen intersect is where the solder has to be, because that is the only place it will melt. So it has to match exactly. So in certain ring designs, you see how they have a dull finish? So when gold comes, it's not dull, it's shiny. So here they manually do it by hand. एक before and after दिखा सकता हूँ? Yeah, so this one you see, selectively where they want the dull, they keep the dull. Where they want this kind of sandblasted look, they do that. So every design will have a different unique pattern. And so they do work on many designs together. So they have to keep track what part in each design should be made dull, shiny, etc. And then they do it by hand. Okay. So once this is made dull, it will go into cutting, where they add facets to make it shiny. So we'll show you that process as well. So this is wax setting. Here you can see the individual pieces, they're all set in a wax mold, which holds it. Then the individual stones are set by hand. Over there they were using drills, here they're doing it by hand. So one by one, they set it and then they press it hard to fold the prongs over to make sure the stone stays set. And because they use the wax block, it's called wax setting. So A and J. So here we have laser cutting. So you see, sometimes you get frame jewelry like this, and inside you want a flat metal base. So here they can use a laser to cut it. So you'll see here, if you zoom in on that, yeah, the laser is used to cut out the exact shape you want. So this makes sure that this fits exactly into the gap and there's no awkward uneven edges. This is a very thin sheet of gold, similar to what we saw downstairs. When they make it flat, you can use it to make this kind of stuff. You can see here. Even though it's very thin, it's heavy. The weight of gold. Now he'll show you, sometimes they have more elaborate designs that are fully made from one laser cutting. So he'll show you one example now. Entire thing has been cut out now. So now you can individually remove these sections. So it'll be jali work. The flower you can do in enamel. So there's many different uses for this kind of technique. So this will be the centerpiece for a bracelet. Yeah. Is the polish. So here you can see we have similar bracelets to what we had before, where the stones have been set. Now he will do polish. So there's different types of polish, and you go through each step. You want the back in between the links on the top prongs to make sure every side, no matter where you look, looks shiny, looks the way it's supposed to. That we saw the 3D printing, this is how to do a polish for that. So they change the heads to give different types of finishes and different types of polish. So you start from one, then you go lower, lower, lower. Here we have, I think that is a pendant. It's a diamond pendant. Yeah, so you see we polish in between the links, on the inside, on the outside, everywhere. If you miss an angle when a customer is wearing it, they'll notice that some parts aren't shiny. Yeah. And this is also an area where you get a lot of gold wastage, because when you're polishing, you're rubbing off gold. The rough surface of the gold you're taking off. So on the bottom inside, you have a vacuum. So any gold dust that comes up, it gets sucked in and stored and captured. And then once every couple of months, we'll gather it all and put it back into the refinery to get the gold out. So they work in these hoods that have a negative pressure. So air will flow in and into the thing, it will not come out. So no gold dust will ever come out. You can see the flap waving, that's because there's constant air flowing in. You earlier, this is where it happens. So it's all done by hand. These carigars are all from Calcutta. And so here, enamel is basically glass powder. What they do is they hand paint it onto each design. And so you can see here, he's painting a bangle, different colored powders. And what will happen is they look one color, but then they go and they get treated in heat. And the color changes and it becomes like shiny glaze. So you can see many different designs, different colors being applied. These still need to be finished. This is just after the Meena process, but you can see the beautiful colors.
This process is actually very interesting because it's colorful obviously. But beyond that, not many people realize how this is done. When you see Calcutta jewelry, you will say, okay, Meena work is there, and we don't give the Meenakari value. We think the value is only in the gold. But you'll see at how much detail they have to sit and paint every single part. Every single thing is made by hand. And this process ensures that the quality is completely consistent and lasts. So this is not paint, it's enamel. Meena is the in Hindi word for enamel. So this solidifies entirely. And what you see in your hand is still a rough product, but when it comes out, that color entirely pops. So there are four guys working, and this is equivalent to painting on art. Sometimes people don't give enamel or Meena jewelry that value, but if they understand what goes behind it, then they'll understand this is even more difficult to make than normal plain gold jewelry, the one with the color. You see how they are creating this? It's like painting a painting. So you see now he'll put it in the furnace to make it the enamel completely solid.
So that prevents the enamel from getting damaged, and it also changes the color, makes it brighter.
They essentially cook the enamel.
It's the same way when you make pottery and you glaze it, so you get different colors. It's the same technique, just applied at a very, very fine level.
To me, this whole department is what we call art.
Two different types of cleaning. There's ultrasonic cleaning and there's cleaning which uses metal beads. So ultrasonic cleaning, you put it in soapy water and you use a very, very high frequency of sound. So it shakes the jewelry very, very strongly, and any dust particles fall off. Alternatively, there is this one here has round metal beads, and you put the jewelry in it and it also shakes it, not as intensely, and the round metal beads will rub off any imperfections, etc. on it. So there's different types of cleaning. We'll take some of your jewelry, with any old jewelry you have, and we'll show you the difference a cleaning can make. It makes it look brand new.
You were seeing the handmade traditional side of the business. This is now the high tech. This is the modern entire technology side of it, where you saw the CAD department create the design. That design is sent here. As you can see on the screen, they will again assess it for the printing process. What you see behind you all over here, these are 3D printers. So the entire design will come out as a 3D piece out of these printers. This is the ultra high tech, latest of the line, again giving you that precision, because normally handmade jewelry will not be able to give you that detailing. So this is an additional step in that process of handmade jewelry.
Printed pieces.
So this is what comes out of the printing machine.
Temple jewelry.
Correct. Temple jewelry, where you see with the 3D effect, that is done through this process. This one mold will take anywhere between, depending on how high they have to go, anywhere between 4 to 12 hours.
Because it's built layer by layer.
Constantly they'll keep on
one atom at a time, they build it up. So
temple jewelry, you'll understand now why the making charge is a little bit higher, because this entire process for temple jewelry, one necklace might take you 2 or 3 days of just printing work.
Okay.
So one machine is for 24 hours into 2 days, constantly just busy printing one necklace out. And then this is just the template again. It goes back to the karigar who starts working on it. That will take another few days. So that's why that jewelry which is done with 3D designing commands a premium. All of these things take a lot of time. That's the thing.
level of delicacy. Like to get this by hand would not be possible from scratch. The only technology has allowed us to make designs like this.
So when you invest in this kind of machinery, only can you get to this level of detailing. Smaller karigars and such will never have this machinery, so this detailing is not possible. So, in shops you often hear, look at the finishing, madam, things like that. But if you understand that this is what you are looking out for, you'll know the process behind it. Good morning. This we call chol. So this is again to what I had started out telling you guys about how gold is in the air. So this is where they are literally cutting into the gold. So there is a lot of, in this entire space, the vacuum of the AC and the filtration process, you'll see he's dusting it before we even walk in, because there is gold on the floor. Because that cutting process sprays gold everywhere. वो कटिंग करते हुए दिखाओ एक बार पहले. He's already cut. You can't even see how fast the blade is moving, but they are doing chilai work into each and every piece. You'll see the gold dust behind it. This is where you lose a lot of gold in the process because of the detailing. So the more the detail is, the more gold we lose, and some of it is permanently lost because it is lost in the air, it's lost in the process. So that is a cost, because the more detailing you add, this is now it'll make sense as to why more intricacy costs more in wastage, more in making charges because of this kind of process. Right? Take a look at how much gold dust there is behind his piece. Not everything will be recovered over there. So when you look at, what they call local or casting simple products, those are without any kind of chilai work. When you introduce chilai, this kind of work, the wastage increases of the gold, and that has to be factored into cost. That's why it costs more money. It's not just for any random reason. So again, when you are looking to purchase jewelry or you see someone else wearing jewelry, you know that if it has any kind of shining chilai work like this, it has cost more money, because this entire process creates more wastage in gold. See, this is the finished piece.
You can see each of these leaves is individually cut using those machines,
That's how that shine is.
and they facet it. So that's why you see this reflection as you move it, and all of that is because gold dust has been thrown off. You see the dull parts that was done upstairs when they made it dull. So first they make the whole thing dull, then they add this detailing, then they do the chilai last. So it's layer by layer you build on the design.
So even though this design was created in a 3D model, you can see how if we had kept it flat, without this process you wouldn't get the shine. Now introducing this process has created another dimension to the design. So any one design that you pick up also, when we go into a shop, we just say, okay, I like this design, I don't like this design. Now you can understand that this entire shine was one part of that process of this design.
This ring has had at least 7 processes. There's the 3D printing, the casting, the soldering, the dull, this polish, the chilai, now there'll be final polish.
When we talk about jewelry, why we are so in love with jewelry is because we understand the complexity of how many layers that one design went through. We normally as customers otherwise don't understand this. The blunting has created this dull finish, the shine is through this process, this way. So in this room we add particular process to even filter the air, because as you can see, even though we have protection on that, there are parts where the hand is going in. So that is where we will lose gold always. And the job of our department, the QC department, is to minimize the loss so that the cost is also not very high. If you notice, when we entered, he had to brush the floor because gold will stick to our feet. Normally we don't allow outsiders to come in, but today of course we are showing you the factory. So, but this is otherwise a very controlled area, because the most amount of gold loss is in this area in the entire factory. So before you leave also, we have a machine that is designed to pull any remnants or any last particles of gold from the floor, from your foot, and to retain it back in the process. Again, these are measures to minimize the loss. Now if you take your shoes when you go home, you can store them on the other side of the safe, because now they have gold.
I'm telling, don't buy feet even.
Go to sleep with the same makeup for tomorrow. It's a little noisy, I'll talk from outside. So, many times there is a confusion in customers' mind about rose gold.
Yes.
That rose gold becomes black, that it becomes dark after some time. This is actually not true. It totally depends on the process and the machine that was used to make the rose gold. So many times gold is yellow in color, but we change it to rose gold, white gold and such. And then after some time, maybe 4, 5, 6 months, that color goes away. That should not happen. Now, if you see this machine, the Protec, the size of this machine is what most factories will not keep. They'll keep a small plating machine. But we have invested in this, and we have a double QC. So they will dip the gold once to plate it. They will check it, test it. It goes up for quality check. If it is passing through, then it comes back down and dip it again. This ensures that let's say you have white gold and it has been going through the process of white gold, So it's already white in color. Now when we add rhodium to add the final shine, that rhodium should not come off. And rhodium is actually a very expensive component. Material is very, very expensive, that chemical. So if gold is already white in color, to enhance its shine, you have to put rhodium. Now, if you use a lower quality rhodium, you will save on cost, but the rhodium will become dark after 4-5 months. Customers don't understand this. They will say, okay, this price was cheaper, but once you understand what you're paying for, there is an additional cost to this. So if you want that quality of rhodium, you as a manufacturer, we have to use the best quality rhodium in the market. There is something 50% cheaper, but we know that you will come back to us complaining 7-8 months later saying, look, this jewelry became black over time. How to prevent that is to do a process like this with the best quality rhodium possible with the machine capacity of this. You see there are 3 entire baths. In these baths we can put in almost 1 kilo of jewelry. So that is the capacity of this factory. Do we need it? No, not necessarily. We could use a small bath, but the quality then gets compromised.
One more thing to add, many designs have 2 or 3 colors. You have gold, silver and rose, or white and rose. The way that's done, when you have the finished piece of jewelry, you paint it with a brush. The parts you want rhodium, you paint with the rhodium alloy. The parts you want white, rose, you paint with a different alloy. And then you put it in the machine. So it'll only plate where you have painted it. So you can get one design with 2 colors.
Okay, finish it.
Instead of doing the whole dip. So again, 2-3 color designs are more complicated and more expensive to make because there's another handmade process in the middle.
Let me clear one confusion. Many people think gold only comes in yellow color. Gold actually comes in white color also. It comes in rose color also without any plating. That means that when we create the process from the beginning, we add an alloy. But the gold is still pure, right? We can make white gold. There is a difference between that and plating. When you plate yellow gold, that color will wear off. But if it's made with an alloy, it will never wear off. So gold can be white in color. Then if you see this is the gold that has come through the process, but there is no rhodium on it. You can see how it looks black, how it looks dark. Now this is white gold. There's no plating on it. But it looks like this because of the entire process. Now this is the finished product. You can see how it shines now. To ensure that this shine stays forever, we have to use the highest quality rhodium possible. But you see how the shine differs between the two. Then this is again a part that we see in the market. Many retailers will cut costs because customer doesn't understand. Okay, they've used a certain rhodium. When you're buying it in the shop, it looks very nice. But when you use it 2, 3, 4 times, it starts looking a little dull. That's because the quality of the rhodium was not good. This becomes the last process in the entire journey. But what we have not told you is that in our factory, we have 7 steps of quality check. So the final quality check will happen after this when he's finished it here. That is a manual check that even every single piece my plant head will look at, not just the QC team. So for us, he is one person, and this takes time, but we want to ensure that every single piece going out of the factory has a certain standard. So we have our people along the way who do the 6 checks, but the last check is done by the factory head. So this again adds that handmade kind of feeling to it because it limits our capacity, but it ensures the quality that's going out. These are not necessary to do, but being in the jewelry business for the last 35-40 years, we have learned that if our quality fails even 1%, then that years of experience is gone. So this kind of a step is taken to ensure that that quality is always consistent. It's not necessary to do, but we do it. When now you've seen the entire process of how the jewelry is made and how the quality is maintained, but there is also a question about how the functioning of the jewelry is. For example, the lock, does it hold very strong? Is the durability of the jewelry very good? Is the bangle not going to collapse? Because everything is about lightweight nowadays. So when we do that, the strength of the bangle should not be compromised. It should not be lower. So that also is tested up in the QC department. What they do is they literally, out of 100 bangles, they'll take a few bangles and they'll press it. If it cracks, it's okay. Put it back in the process, melt everything. It doesn't go out of the factory. If it holds, then it's sent through. For the same thing for locking and clasp test, let's say there's a bracelet. If the lock doesn't click, they will again melt it. So it's a manufacturing process. Defects do happen. The important part is to catch the defect before it leaves the factory. If we don't catch it, then it will reach the shop It will be sold to a customer. Customer will come back for a complaint. Even though we are not involved in that process, the retailer gets a bad reputation. But when we are selling something, when we are offering something, for us, it's a piece of jewelry. So we do a clasp test that it should make a clicking noise. Every single bracelet has to go through that. So sometimes we'll even have bracelets that are sitting on the side for 3 days because the person doing the clasp test is not available, but it has to go through that process. So now once you understand it, even in the store, when you're buying a bracelet, you also should press the button to hear the clasp. That will tell you that there is a assurance that this will not fall off my hand sometime. That is another problem that we have, right? So these are some of the tests that we do to ensure that the functionality of the product is very good. After Siroya Gold, but Siroya Gold also becomes dirty. You have to clean it.
Wait, so speak now. Like, what are we gonna do?
So this is some of ma'am's older jewelry that she has bought from one of our stores, and because she's in our factory today, and we give this opportunity to many of our viewers that we have this in-house. So your gold doesn't leave the Siroya network, and we will reshine it for you. So we will take it to now the ultra cleaning machine, which is a very high-tech machine which uses vibrations to remove any dust. So it will remove the dust, but you will not lose any of the gold. The weight will be the same. That's the benefit of the process. If you try to buff it or polish it, you might lose a little bit of the gold weight. Which sometimes, if it's very old or if it's damaged, then I might have to buff it. This jewelry is not damaged. So there we will not have to buff it. We can just do ultra and we can have it shining again. So we'll do this entire process right now. Yeah. So I would like to introduce my father, who is the managing director of our group. Factory is his passion project, and he's been part of this journey for the beginning that we have. And I want him to give a few words about what has been the inspiration of the factory and the story of the factory.
Namaste ji. The viewers, all your followers will be very interested in knowing how jewelry is made. And generally, you see what happens is a lady comes into a store and she sees the jewelry and then she says, okay, I need something. Or naya hai kuch? Anything new? So, you see, we do not realize that how much pain has gone into manufacturing of that jewelry, how the design starts, how it is inspired. So today we are taking on a round of the factory, and there you will understand the intricacies of the factory, many steps involved in it, right from the concept being made in the designer's head. See, so today it's a modern world, and we are doing designing using computers. In the good old days, it was all by hand, but today very rarely we do by hand. Hand is generally only for very exclusive diamond jewelry where a person has certain requirements, so we do it by hand. But generally, it is we are using very sophisticated software for designing the jewelry. Then the masters are more, the master molds are made either by using a 3D printing, which is a very modern technology, jewelry manufacture, or by using the traditional craft of making a mold in silver. And then if it is going to be a multiple production, then we make the mold in silver, then we make a rubber mold, and then we cast the jewelry, and then all the jewelry is soldered together by hand. The first step is that we talk to the designer, we take the feedback from the customers and consumers, what they want, what is the new thing they are desiring. We talk to the designer puts it on paper, as a sketch, and then that is taken to the computer. The computer designs it in a 2D first, and then a 3D model is made. Then we take the feedback of the staff. The sales staff are involved in the whole process because they are the people who know the pulse of the market. So they say, okay, this is the nice. This maybe you can do a little bit like this, tweak it a little bit, add a few stones or add some color. The work comes to the factory. When it comes to the factory, the production manager decides how to do it and all. See the process, you will understand the total thing. What I need to tell all our viewers today and your followers is that please do appreciate the work which has gone behind making that jewelry. It's a piece of art. It's a piece of somebody spends hours and hours on making it, and what we are charging is actually dirhams per hour of time. It is going to be less than a maid's time. So that is the amount of effort which goes into manufacturing the jewelry. It is very easy for a customer to say, no, I'll pay you 1 dirham less or 2 dirhams less or 3 dirhams less. But when they see the whole process, they will start appreciating, yes, there is a lot of work and art behind this. I restarted my career in jewelry, working in the jewelry field since '83, but we were a partnership with some other company. And then we separated, and in 1991, we started wholesaling of jewelry. When we established ourselves as a reasonable wholesaling operation, we said, why not go backward and integrate and make a manufacturing facility? So there was a demand for chains at that time, and we started manufacturing chains. Then we started adding workers, and we started producing handmade jewelry. Then we added casting jewelry. Today we have CNC jewelry, we have 3D printed jewelry, all
Diamond
types of
jewelry.
jewelry.
Yeah.
7 years ago, there was a demand that no, we should have diamond jewelry. So we started making bespoke designer jewelry. So in our stores, if a customer has any desire and they like something and they want to get that same thing made, we can do it very easily. We do not copy brands, but definitely we can get inspired and we can design something for the like of the customer so that the customer is very happy wearing their own creation. How we have started, and I am very happy that we have a team of about 130 workers here in the factory, and all of them are serving all our customers. Jewelry is our family business. My grandfather started the jewelry business in India, dealing mainly in silver jewelry. And then when my father came to UAE, we started construction and we had many other businesses. And as a corollary in the 1970s, late 70s, there was very less manufacturing of jewelry in the Middle East. All the jewelry was imported. So my father and his partners decided to start the first jewelry manufacturing in a large scale. Otherwise, earlier it used to be mom and pop shops, small shop, two karigars sitting in the back doing the jewelry work. But we started the first jewelry manufacturing with 30 people staff, and it was the beginning of one of the brightest chapter in the jewelry manufacturing in the Middle East. The 80s, we became the largest producer of jewelry in the Middle East, and it was recorded by the World Gold Council. When we separated from our old group and we restarted the jewelry, I joined the jewelry business because I used to love that feeling of touching the gold and the ladies when they wear jewelry and they're happy. It makes you happy to see a customer happy, and that's why when I graduated, I said, okay, let me try the jewelry field, and I loved it. I loved the creativity part of it. I loved manufacturing new things. I loved designing new things. And that's how I restarted the jewelry factory in 1996. So since 1996, we are in the jewelry manufacturing in UAE. We have a lot of manufacturing being done in India. So you see, as an extension, we cannot manufacture everything here. So we do a lot of manufacturing in India on contract manufacturing. We have some partners, I would say, our business partners there, who make jewelry only for us. Then we have certain exclusive brands which are we are the worldwide selling agents like Monaco chains from Turkey. We are the worldwide agents for 22 carat Monaco chains. And we have a certain other distribution also for now jewelry made in China. We have some lovely jewelry, lightweight jewelry which is made in China, which nobody else in the world makes. You know, you could get a 18 carat chain for as low as half a gram, a full chain with a lock for half a gram. So all these things we are trying to innovate as gold is becoming more and more expensive. Jewelry buying, the pattern is changing. Earlier, people used to have very heavy jewelry, but today people want lighter weight jewelry because the budget becomes too much. So we are conscious of that fact, and we are trying to adjust our jewelry designs in such a way that the price point comes down and the customers are happy. So I always say that one of the best investment you can make is jewelry because at any point in time, if ever, God forbid, you need money, jewelry, gold and jewelry is one thing. Anywhere in the world, you can get cash for it any hour of the day.
For our stores, we actually have now as well the sale of the world's longest gold chain. And the factory that you just saw is where the entire chain was made from scratch. So this set a Guinness World Record of I think
5.28 kilometers.
5.28 kilometers. And how many kilos of gold was
It was
used?
238 kilos.
238 kilos in a single chain.
Yeah.
And this is on made by hand, set a world record, and this is the factory where it was made.
10
So-
years ago.
Part of it was made outside also.
Yes.
By 3 other companies.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was part of the entire effort, and this is what Dubai is known for, and it's famous for its gold, and it's famous for setting records. And we've been very happy that we've been a part of that journey along the way. And as he was mentioning, that innovation is also at the core of what we do. This is something that you can't put a price on. It's the cost of the designing, it's the cost of the creativity. And oftentimes, when I've written about it in the book as well, is when we don't value that, we risk losing that art. Is that slowly we have made it such a commodity that one shop's product looks similar to the other shop's, looks similar to the third shop's. And if we don't want to do that, because at the end of the day, jewelry for us for the last 40, 50 years has not just been a commodity, has been an art form. It's a way of us connecting with our customers to say, let's make your moment special. But if we remove the creativity and we're not able to reward the person who's doing the creativity, not us, the karigar, the designer, then we risk losing that as an art form forever. So this is something that I think if customers start appreciating, they start acknowledging and knowing, then they will start looking out for that. Because it's not just the weight of what you wore, it's the way it was made. That's important.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. In this time, I think gold has hit almost another record high today. You saw, ma'am, your old jewelry can also regain its shine at a facility like this. So we encourage your viewers to reach out to Siroya Jewelers, and we can also shine their old jewelry. This would be something that we would be very happy to, because we believe that jewelry should always be shining. It's sitting in the safe, it gets tarnished. So come down to visit us, and you can take benefit of this feature of our services. Inspiration to write this book was from customers like yourself, because I realized that there were big fans of jewelry. You know, this was a lifelong decision that you have taken, and people buy jewelry frequently. But besides knowing the weight range and the price range, we don't talk about anything anymore. The backstory of how the jewelry was made is so fascinating that we wanted to share it. How is it created? Who thought of it? How much effort goes into it? And once people understand it, I believe that we are all on the same mission to revive the excitement of jewelry again. I think that emotion is still there, but it will become 200% more if people understand the process of what happens before. And this is my small effort to try and encourage people to know the story. Otherwise, also in the book that we would be happy to share an online PDF with is the idea that what is the concept of making charges. So today you understood a little bit about loss in terms of how the gold was a bar to begin with, and then it got cut, shine, and it became a beautiful piece of jewelry. But you realize that in this process, we would have lost some gold also. Now that is a cost. And the more detailing you do, the more layers you have, the more processes you involve, the more gold loss you have. That's why there is a cost to this jewelry. If I make it a very simple way, to the average customer, they might not realize that there was only one process. But that is a cheaper product. And now when I have 5 processes in that, that becomes a more expensive product. So don't get into the mistake of falling for a trap of just low making charges. Know what process was used, and then judge the jewelry you are buying. Because the beauty of it is in that entire journey. It's not just about low or high making charges. Of course, there is marketing involved, but now you have all the details required to assess for yourself. And many other such things are discovered and discussed in the book, which is available, and I would encourage people to read it. So, as you can see, we are one of the vertically aligned companies where we have our own factory, our own wholesale, and our own retail. So, a lot of what you see in our showrooms is made in our own factory. So, we control the entire process. Now, you have a very clear picture of where the jewelry that you are wearing as an ornament came from at its core. The entire process from refinery to production to wholesale to retail is controlled here, and that is how we even serve the wider market in the UAE and Middle East for that matter, because these products are not only sold in our stores, these products are sold across many stores. So we at its heart know the entire process of how long it took to make something, what quality the product is, as long as it was made here. That is our journey of selling the product across the market. I also want to share with you something about the purity of gold, because there's a lot of confusion in people's mind. People think 22 is the best, right? There is no best or worst. 21 carat is also good purity, 22 is also good purity, 24 is also good purity, 18 is also good purity. And now we also have 14 carat. The important thing is the jeweler or the retailer that you are buying from is a reputed person, and there is a standard that they are working with. You should be paying for 22 carat if you're buying 22 carat. You should be paying for 18 carat if you're buying 18 carat, because they are charging you for the amount of gold in that. The process that we use to make that jewelry, 24 carat is the purest, absolutely pure gold, right? Then to make it a little bit harder, we add an alloy in the process. That alloy reduces the purity per quadrant, and we have 22 carat. To make it even harder, we add a little bit more alloy. Now, what is alloy? Alloy is a different chemical, palladium and different mix. But you are not paying the price separately for that alloy, you're paying for the gold. That is the way the calculation is done. 18 carat is even harder than 22 carat. 14 carat is even harder. Now, obviously, the lower the purity, the lower the cost per gram to you. But the certain kind of jewelry, like diamond jewelry, you can make it 22, but the gold becomes very soft. It risks the diamond falling out. That's why 18 carat is usually the preferred gold for diamond jewelry now across. And when you are using that, it gives you that extra safety that the diamond will not fall off, because you don't want that. So this is why there is different purity. With different parts of the world, they favor different golds. So 21 carat is very popular in Arab markets. A lot of customers have this question, which is, what is the best purity? Is it 18, 21, 22, 24? I am going to tell you that there is no best or worst. The reality is that you should pay what you are getting for. Different purities have different benefits. Pure gold is 24 carat, but it is very, very soft. To make jewelry, we need a little bit more hardness. And if it has detailing, as you saw the chol, any other work that requires, it needs a little bit more hardness. So 22 carat is better than 24 for that kind of creativity. Then if you are using different gold for diamond jewelry, which requires hardness to hold the diamond, you know, that is 18 carat. Now, how do we make that? We add something called an alloy. The alloy is actually a combination of different materials, palladium, a little bit of silver. You don't pay the price for that. You only pay the price for the amount of gold out of the 24 carat that you are using. So the customers, at least in Dubai, can rest assured that the price they see on the board is only being charged for the amount of gold content in the piece. And to add this, 21 carat is also there, which is preferred by the Arab customers in the GCC and otherwise. This is just historically that they've been using it. The same way India, Pakistan, Bangladesh have been using 22 carat. There are different functions for each jewelry, and all purities are good, because you are eventually paying for the amount of purity you are getting. That is the important part. And when you are buying it from a jeweler who has been there for some time, you are assured of the fact that the purity you are paying for, you are getting. Now, when we receive jewelry in exchange, many times we have to melt the jewelry. When we melt the jewelry, unfortunately, there is something called a purity loss. You saw the entire melting process. There is a loss because you are pouring the gold and things like that. There is a grammage. So there is a loss of the gold. This is a small charge that is charged from the customer when we are exchanging it. So this will explain to you why, if you have bought from a shop and you give the jewelry back to the shop, they charge a small amount of money. Please do not trust anyone saying 0% either on making charges or on exchanges, because there is a cost, there is a loss of everything. If they are not charging you in this way, they are charging you in some other way. So it is better if you are aware and you are making conscious decisions, knowing if you are giving the jewelry back and they are charging you for melting loss, this is the correct process, because then they are making sure they are not selling that jewelry. It is old jewelry, it should be melted. So this is something that you have to understand, that there are all good purities, you should be paying for the purity you are getting. They are gold eventually. Our quality check process is quite elaborate. With regards to diamond jewelry, we actually have 7 steps that we take. So going through them systematically, as you can now relate, there is a casting process. At that stage itself, we check for any cracks or any damage in the metal. If that is there, it's melted. Then further we go to the diamond QC itself of the loose diamonds, where the parcel, each diamond has to match. Anything that is not matching is removed. Further, when you come to the setting stage, you are looking at each diamond is in sequence. If the diamonds don't match in color or in look, we pick up the diamond and we remove it. After that process, there is another process of polishing and buffing. If the polish is not perfect, we are QCing it again. There is a polish process. Post, there is rhodium plating, which you saw in the bath. That process is again, is the rhodium perfect or not? We double dip it one time and then second time, and then final QC is done with the factory head and then dispatch QC. So these are our processes where one single piece of jewelry goes through 7 checks. So we don't say it's 100%, because even antiseptic soap says 99%, but we try and ensure that we minimize the chance of diamond falling out or irregular diamond size or any kind of defect. This is in regards to diamond jewelry. Gold jewelry goes through a similar process, but there is no setting of stone. So those 2 or 3 steps are removed. But besides that, the same steps are repeated, the same quality checks are repeated. And in gold, we add another layer, which is for strength. So a bangle, today everything is about ultra light. People want to reserve the budget, so they make lightweight jewelry. But it should not be at the cost of strength. So we have a strength test. A bangle is created, could be whatever grams it is. It is literally pressured by hand. That, as you use it, when you're wearing the jewelry, it should not compress. This again helps us to ensure that whatever is lightweight also at least stands a certain level of strength, and whatever is not passing the test is melted again. When we do this level of quality check, it adds up to the cost, but it allows us to be very confident about the quality of what we are selling. And this we have seen are many of the challenges that the industry has today, that people are cutting corners to keep the cost low, and eventually the customer is the one who's paying the price for it. So ma'am asked me which color of gold is the best. First of all, many customers, many Indians think that only yellow gold is real gold. This was true before, but now our technology exists to make gold in different colors. We can make it in white, we can make it in rose, in other colors also, but these are the more popular ones. Now the younger generation is loving rose gold. Currently the trend is that. You see that? And especially with stone jewelry or diamond jewelry, white gold even enhances the color of the diamond. It enhances the shine of the diamond. So yellow gold makes it a little bit more dull. So there are different preferences for different age groups. What is important is that you are buying jewelry which is genuinely made in that color. So you have to be watchful for the fact that it isn't yellow gold that is white gold plated, because that plating is just a covering, it's a coating. It will come off. If it is made at the alloy stage with white gold, then it will never change color. So it isn't yellow gold that is being made into white, that in the coating sense. That is the important part that you have to check. But yes, white gold is genuine gold, rose gold is genuine gold. When you melt it, you will get the gold purity of what you are getting. So you should be free and you should experiment with different colors, because they're all beautiful. And different kind of jewelry will look nice. Very lightweight, very delicate jewelry looks beautiful in white gold and rose gold also. So in my opinion, depends on the preference of individual. But for traditional jewelry, yellow gold still takes the high standard for me. But if you're looking at delicate everyday wear jewelry or something that's a little bit more for functions or something of that sort, or with diamond jewelry, you should experiment with rose gold and white gold also. Now you see?
So a simple cleaning process can transform the look of a jewelry. And this is a service we offer to all our customers, but also to people who have jewelry, who are viewing. If they want to get it clean and polished, come to our Siroya branch and we'll be happy to help.
Shine of it.